This is the Power Producers Podcast, where we are refining and redefining the sales game.
Rule number one is you have to believe in yourself. You're the only one who doesn't think you belong in this appointment. The prospect has already validated your existence by scheduling time with you. Get it through your head you belong here, go in there, crush it, and close the deal.
A place where sales professionals can come to learn from other sales professionals and thought leaders that have mastered their craft.
The difference between a good salesperson and a best-in-class salesperson is only 2 minutes. By spending an extra 2 minutes on what you might think is a mundane task in the sales game, you separate yourselves from the pack, you grow your book of business, you close more deals, and you retain your accounts.
As well as their peers who are still striving for perfection to achieve their why.
I have a wife and 4 kids. Failure is not an option.
Real sales professionals, real stories, real results.
It's no different than being a professional baseball player. You can't be a one-trick pony. You have to be a 5-tool player in order to succeed in this game.
This is the Power Producers Podcast, production redefined. Are you ready to feel the power?
Yo, everybody, it's David and Kyle here at Power Producers Podcast, where we're whatever we're doing, man, or we're refining and redefining the sales game, so to speak. And I'm going to tell you, we have an awesome guest with us today, Mr. Jason Kilgo, and I have beard envy. The beard game on me is nowhere near strong enough to be on this podcast between Jason and Kyle. And, I don't know what to tell you. I can't instantly grow a beard. I can't grow a beard if I didn't shave for 3 years. I would probably look like some sort of a rescue animal. But yeah, I'm anxious to get to it. Kyle was just explaining to us before we got on about his awkward holiday beard. So I'm gonna let him take it away. I think everybody needs to learn from this. Please learn from this.
Yeah, my wife, she's pretty heavy in the social media. So, she's seen all sorts of videos and pictures of people with things in their beard come Christmas time. So she decided that it was the right move for me to grow my beard out last Christmas and get like all these ornaments and clip them in my beard. And there's pictures. Obviously nobody can see me right now and I don't have them in right now, but there's definitely some pictures up on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, with some Christmas ornaments hanging for. I didn't go all out with like the glitter like we were talking about, because that's just, first of all, how the hell do you get that out? I'd be sitting here in April still trying to get pieces of glitter out of my beard. It'd be a nightmare. So
yeah, that's hide those pictures. They tried to do that to me. I don't know. It was like a thing this year, like around Christmas. I guess there's like a lot of guys with beards. But yeah, they're trying to get me to do that. And I was like, no, I'll pass. I'm good.
You've got enough length on that. Mine's a little bit trimmed up right now. But it's something where you either go all in or you don't. It's not something you can do halfway.
I am never lazy about anything, but if you want to grow a great beard, that's the number one thing it takes. It just takes being lazy about shaving.
That and you got to have some product. What kind of product are you using in that?
I was definitely, exactly where I'm going with this, because I am a big fan of Dr. Squatch. I'm just going to throw that. Yes. I'm just going to throw that out there. I laugh about it all the time, because anytime something pops into my news feed in Facebook that's a retargeting campaign, usually Jason Cass and Travis Etheridge, both who are business partners, both like that page already. So I know that it's got to be good stuff, but Dr. Squatch has the beard oils and all of that stuff too. So it's funny because they really do have good soap, man. It's not cheap, but if you want to get done at the gym and come back and take a shower and have it smell like you just dumped steaming hot Christmas tree water on you, then that's exactly what it is. It is so refreshing, man, to have that pine tar soap. But it's crazy because I bought a pack from them when they were running one of their deals. So I get like 10 bars of soap at a time. And it came with this cologne. And I am not kidding you. This is like
Squatch musk.
It's like essential oil pine sap reduction. And I'm thinking to myself, who wears this? Tommy Boy? Does this replace the Pine Tree air freshener? I'm not putting this on.
So in addition to being sponsored by HubSpot, I think we should be sponsored by Dr. Squatch, man. We could get plugs in here all day.
Oh yeah. So talk about the product. You got to talk about the product.
Well, I use a product called Con Man, and I think it's a Gibson product. So Gibson does a lot of, beard stuff. And what's funny is I'll go in to get a haircut and, just get it trimmed up, get it faded up, just get the beard trimmed, looking nice and neat. And the haircut itself is only like, I don't know, $17, maybe $20. I usually tip her pretty good, but I'll end up walking out with like $100 tab because all the product costs, so much money that, they're making money every time I go in there. So I use stuff called Comment. It's more like a conditioner. So it doesn't give you that itchy feeling and it smells good. So, typically my wife she says she's okay with beer, but she probably really doesn't like it, especially now with the quarantine thing. She's like, hey, you need to shave that thing now. You've got bacteria and all kinds of things in it. And when I eat, she's like, yeah, you're gonna have to wash your face before I kiss you or anything, because she's like, you've got things that I always thought I've got leftovers in my beard.
That's amazing.
But that stuff's awesome. It's like a conditioner. It cleans it, and then it also smells good. So good stuff. So I was talking. The football. So you guys are Tampa Bay Bucks fans.
I am. Dave's like a pseudo fan. I don't even know if he's a fan. He didn't even know that we changed our jerseys or what the difference was. So I can't really speak to his level of fanhood.
Listen, I'm a real Buccaneers fan in that I will only subscribe to, and as I go to Bucks games, wear creamsicle branded products. Okay. I've got the Mike Allstott throwback creamsicle jersey. That's one of my go-tos that he's actually autographed right there in the 0 of the 4-0. I've got the throwback.
That guy was such a stud, man. I've been watching some of his highlights lately. I feel like
he went to college in Virginia.
He went to Purdue. He went to Purdue.
Oh, okay.
He was a Boilermaker, but he may be from Virginia.
Yeah, something's going on about Virginia. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I remember something about Virginia because he was an awesome player.
Maybe he played there one time and carried 6 guys on his back into the end zone when he scored a touchdown. Seems to be one of his go-to moves.
Oh yeah. Well, anyways, what I was going to say is fantasy football wise, somehow I always end up with Jameson. Okay.
Jameis Winston. Yeah.
Jameis Winston. And what's funny is, as bad as he is,
he racks up fantasy points because the dude throws for like 400 yards. Right. But he also has 5 interceptions, and that's when you're a Bucks fan, that's what kills you, because he shows glimpses of these, games where he can just go and throw for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns, but then he's got 3 picks and 2 fumbles, and it's like, he hadn't really progressed. I was a big Winston fan. I supported him, but it was time to make a change. And I'm glad they did. I've been following the Bucks forever. Like I mentioned, I grew up here and I've always been a Bucks fan, and every season they disappoint me because they don't make any moves in the offseason. I don't feel like they get the pieces they need to get in order to, to be successful. And I feel like this season they finally, at least made an attempt to do that. And I'm hoping that we have a season this year so I can, watch Brady and see what happens. I mean, if we can just get a couple guys in the draft and the O-line and maybe a DB, I think we'll be in okay shape to at least get a wild card spot for the first time since 2007. I heard, this blew my mind. I heard that the last quarterback to make the playoffs for the Bucks, you know who it was, Dave? There's no way you'll get this.
The last quarterback to make the playoffs for the Bucks. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember if we had drafted. I'm trying to think. No, we played the Giants in the wild card game.
Yes, that's exactly right.
I don't remember if it was Josh Freeman that was the quarterback.
That was my guess.
Or it could have been the other Josh, right? There was another.
There's Josh McCown, but no, it was Jeff
not
Garcia.
Him. That's right. Yeah, I forgot Garcia was here. Wow. I remember that now.
I know, crazy, but
interesting.
Anyway,
yeah, it's going to be an easy transition. It's going to be an interesting transition because the only drawback I see to all this is when you get a quarterback at that age. I mean, let's take Peyton Manning when he went over to the Broncos. He couldn't throw the long ball, and that hurt him. And they're saying that Brady's going to be okay, but
Peyton had shoulder surgery too, though. So I agree with you.
And neck surgery.
Yeah, because you're looking at Peyton couldn't even throw the ball across the field, let alone the long ball. He couldn't throw from one sideline to the other barely.
We'll see, man. If the O-line can protect him, I think he'll be fine. That's what I'm concerned about. And in New England, he had a decent O-line where he wasn't like, he gets the ball out quick. Like he doesn't get hit. He doesn't get sacked, but his O-line also protected him a little bit. And I'm not sold on our O-line. That's why I think we need to draft at least one guy.
I'm sold on our receivers.
Y'all's receiver crew is good.
Studs from tight end to receiver. I mean, Godwin, Evans,
it's like the Houston Oilers,
Brayton, Howard are all studs. Yeah, right.
How sweet was Warren Moon's spiral when he threw the ball? By the way, just to get random for a second, that guy had a beautiful ball.
Dude, my favorite football game of all time, and I'm not a gamer, is Super Tecmo Bowl. Dude, I was always the Oilers, man, because those four receivers were just awesome.
So Super Tecmo Bowl was literally my sophomore year of college. I majored in that particular subject. There were so many times that I should have been in class and I was in the middle of another season. We would blow through like a season a day in our suite, just 24/7 playing Super Tecmo Bowl. I actually liked the Bills during that one too, because you had Thurman Thomas, you had Andre Reed, James Lofton,
Bruce Smith.
Yeah, Bruce Smith with the little duck back around dive sack every time. You know, he was brutal. And the Chiefs were really good in that one too, because they had Okoye and Barry Word.
Yeah, but everybody always tried to get the Raiders because of Bo Jackson. I mean, you couldn't catch him. I mean, if he got around the edge and knew how to go up and down, so you missed the dive tackle. It was money all day. I think it was him and one other one, right? It was him as a runner. Thurman Thomas was one. Bo Jackson was one, and I think there was one more. Maybe
there was another one, and I'm trying to remember who it was.
I want to say Emmitt Smith, but it wasn't Emmitt Smith, was it?
It may have been Emmitt.
But if those hit either one of those guys hit the edge on that game, and you knew how to go up and down, touchdown all day. Like you just weren't that. And then for receivers, Jerry Rice, all you do is throw it up. Remember, you go back across the middle, man. Go back the opposite direction to throw the long ball. And then he'd always jump up and catch it in the end zone.
Yeah, my favorite move was that top route where it was the V cut down and then into a fly. And I would look off that receiver, and then at the last second, when they pulled the defense away, pop it up and hit him for like 60 yards in the end zone every time.
Good time.
James Lofton with the Bills was money on that route all the time.
Yep, those good times, good memories. That was, if I saw the game now, it'd probably hurt my eyes. But that was the game for a long time for me. And then just never been a gamer. I would always get beat and tell my brother's very good at games, great hand-eye coordination. And I would always get mad at him because I was always bigger. We're only 16 months apart to the day. But he was always really good at the games. And I'd be like, all right, forget this game. The computer's cheating. Let's go outside and play for real. That's kind of like, that was my thing. I was like, all right, you want to do this? All right, now let's go play for real.
Look, man, I grew up in an era with Atari, joysticks and a button. One joystick, one button. I don't have enough hands and feet to control these controllers that they have now. I don't even know where to start with that stuff.
Dude, it's funny. So when I was a kid, like Nintendo 64 came out. So I'm definitely, way behind the whole Tecmo Bowl thing. But my dad, the big cat, would come out and wanted to get down on the Mario Kart because that's like the only thing that he felt like he could do. The guy sucked. I mean, he's still terrible at it, and like it's great because he would play Atari and all that kind of stuff back in the day, but he couldn't hang, man.
Mario Kart is a good game too.
Solid. My wife still plays it on the TV behind me here. She sits up here and yells and curses at the TV. It's awesome.
What's funny is I got the headsets I got on right now because for a couple of friends of mine one guy moved down to Florida and try to get your referral here off this podcast. So that's a good move on your part. But we got it to stay in touch online. So we got some of these online games where we could all get online together. And we've played once.
Really?
And it's mainly because I don't have the time. I'm not really a gamer. I have so much going on, usually when I'm home, it's family time, and it's hard to get those times booked off where everybody can get on and do it. And what's funny is he's like, hey man, I see you online all the time. I'm like, no, I'm watching TV through Xbox. Mm-hmm. Like now I'm just using it as like a system where I can get on to do everything else in my theater room.
He needs to just blow you up with invites while you're watching Netflix or whatever, so that you're just forced to throw on the headset and get out and play some Call of Duty.
Yeah, my wife thought, hey, this will be good. We'll get you this Xbox, and you said you wanted one to go live, and yeah, it's been almost 2 years now. I've played once.
You may be the only person I've ever talked to whose wife actually encouraged them to get a gaming system.
Yeah, she was against it for a long time, but I think when the friends moved away, she wanted us to be able to stay in touch. But I mean, a phone call works just as well.
Yeah, I'm thinking what may be, like, if that happened in my house, there's a 100% chance there's an ulterior motive there. So I don't know if it involves Louis Vuitton or Tory Burch or any of the other usual suspects, but there is going to be a nondescript package showing up at my door within days of an Xbox.
I will say I'm a decent romantic. So I treat my wife right. But if there was a hidden message on that, I completely missed it. So now you got me thinking, okay, what should I do? So yeah, but my son is 3. So I think, because, I have a son now, I think that was part of the reason why she was like, hey, we'll get this Xbox. But we did try to play, he's a big superhero person. There's some kind of superhero game that's kind of like Mortal Kombat, where they each, you can fight a bunch of superheroes. And he did like it, but he was just hitting buttons. He doesn't,
right.
It's 3
Still
years
a
old,
little young. Yeah, exactly.
So I think he liked how it looked, and he liked to see the superheroes come on there, but still too young. And so that kind of died out. And now it's just, it's just sitting there collecting dust.
Well, listen, we could sit here all day and talk about God knows what, and people might actually be entertained by that. But one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, Jason, is I know you created a lot of buzz out in San Diego when you did your presentation about your past. So why don't you give everybody kind of a little bit of a background about, where you came from and how you got to where you're at today, so they can understand what your point of view is.
Yeah, of course. I started with Geico, and really, oddly enough, I was living in Florida. I was living in Fort Lauderdale, and from Richmond, but I had moved down to Florida after college, and just said, hey, I'm going to go down there. Florida seems nice, sunny weather, beach. I'd like to be a part of that. I was actually selling cars for CarMax for a while, and I feel like every job has been a great stepping stone to where I've been now, where I ended up. And Florida was great, but it was, I was 21, 22 years old, and it was tough to live down there, not having connections and not used to all the tourism and everything else that goes on down there, especially at the bottom. And obviously there was no career path. So I moved up to Fredericksburg, Virginia with an old roommate from college. He said, hey, you can stay here for 2 months free, and then you got to pay rent. And I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I got to figure out how I'm going to get a job. He's like, you've got 2 choices, Geico or Capital One. And I said, okay, well, I don't really want to sell credit cards. That's not my thing. I'll check out this insurance thing. So literally it was across the street from where our apartments were. So that was awesome. I was like, hey, it's right across the street. Walked in there and basically just kind of gave him an ultimatum. I was like, hey, I'm your guy. I need a job. I'll do whatever it takes. And they were kind of like, hey, well, we go through this a little bit differently. It takes a little bit of time. And I'm like, okay, who is your number one seller right now? And so they were like, oh, it's this girl. And, she's all this, she's all that. I was like, hire me and I will beat her in a year. If you hire me today, I will beat her in a year. And so they hired me basically on the spot. And I kind of went in that in innovation, but started at Geico, did extremely well, top seller there, shattered everything. I probably have some records that are still being held there. Only did auto insurance, only sold auto insurance, but I'm talking about I was selling probably on average about 12 to 15 policies a day. Wow. Well over 200 policies a month. And so my record over there is I sold 2,616 policies in 1 year.
Roughly 2,616.
Well, I memorize it because I've got the plaque still here, but I actually, I took a picture of it in one of my slides because I wanted to make sure people actually believed it. Because when you do the math on that, even today, looking back at what we're doing now, is like, man, wish I had that kind of production numbers now. I'd be invincible. But it was great. I got to I met Warren Buffett twice. So that was cool.
What was that like? Like, I mean, I saw that. I saw that on your LinkedIn that you had dinner with him or met with him. Like, tell us about that. That seems pretty.
So
legit.
one of my flaws is I'm not a big. I don't get along with a lot of old people. So I just don't feel like I have a lot in common. And it's hard. I think that they're obviously
old people are the worst,
slower and everything. So yeah, maybe it is a patience thing. I don't know, but I just it's a tough time for me. But the memories I have of Warren Buffett are this: we're waiting outside the restaurant to get in because he has a whole section booked off. I mean, it's Warren Buffett. I mean, he's not just going to eat out in the tables with everyone else. We had our own room at the back of this. Like it was a interesting venue. It was a nice restaurant, but they had a pool hall in the restaurant in Omaha, Nebraska. And he pulled up in a 96 town car with a driver. That's all he had. This was back in 2003, 2004. And the driver also was Slash bodyguard. This guy was like,
dude, it's like Lou from Back to School that drove Rodney Dangerfield around. The same guy that played, it was Burt Young, the guy that played Paulie in the Rocky movies. He was Rodney Dangerfield's driver.
And bodyguard. Like bodyguard. He does but this guy was actually pretty big. I mean, I'm almost 6'4". This guy was he was several inches taller than me, big guy. Anyways, gets him out of the car. He goes in first, and then we all come in. And it was almost like a field trip kind of deal. We all got like assigned seats where they wanted everybody to go. And of course I was top seller. So I sat to the left of them, and I wish I would go back in that time and brown nose the hell out of them. And try to do whatever it took to be, a protege, but I didn't. I just kind of sat there, and what he did was he came in and he told, just stale jokes. I mean, and everybody laughed because it's Warren Buffett, and he was cool, very down to earth. A blazer that was probably made in the 70s. The guy is just salt of the earth. I mean, he is just, talking to a normal grandpa, but he just kind of sat, talked to us for a little bit. And he was probably there for 20 minutes and just rolled out. And then we got to eat. He didn't even eat with us. So
interesting.
It was just kind of a he came, he met everyone. Well, here's the thing. It was money making for him because he's majority owner of Geico. So we were there to work his shareholders meeting. So it was like an incentive, but it was like a work trip still. So, hey, we're going to fly you over to Omaha, Nebraska. You're going to meet Warren Buffett. It's going to be awesome. We're going to cater everything for you. Oh, but by the way, you're working the whole weekend, selling to all my shareholders, Geico auto policy. So, you'd wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning, from 8 until roughly 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. You've got a laptop set up, and as shareholders are going around to his meeting, his annual meeting, you're trying to sell them auto insurance, which is what he owns as well. So it was I hate to say this, but I turned it down the third time. I actually got invited to go a third time, and I turned it down, and no one's ever done that before. And I just,
dude, you gotta let Buffett know sometimes.
Yeah.
You just gotta say, look,
your dinner out of here, bro.
Look, Buffett, I don't deal well with old people to begin with. Shame on me if you get me twice, but this third time there will be no trifecta.
Yeah, third time was not a charm. I just felt like I had more important things to do. I had to make commission. I had other things on my mind, but I
am sure Warren's sleeping just fine.
I will tell you one thing I did learn about that event, though. You cannot judge a book by its cover. I mean, there were some kids there. I mean, my age, that were millionaires. And I was like, wow. I was like, I'm trying to find out and learn about them, using the same sales techniques I teach my staff and what I showed at Innovation, I was doing to them. I'm like, hey, tell me about you. Let me find out everything I can. And yeah, man, it was interesting. All cloths of life were at that shareholder meeting. And I really found out quickly that you cannot judge a book by its cover. And the beautiful thing is, and one of the reasons why I chose insurance is I was like, look, if I'm going to sell something, I want to sell something that's a need. I don't want to sell a want. I'm tired of selling cars. Cars is a want. I mean, obviously it's a need. You need a car to get to work. You need to do things, but there's so much competition, so much wants. With insurance, it's a need. You got to have auto insurance. So let's start with that. You buy a home, you got to have homeowners insurance. Everyone needs life insurance. I want to sell needs. So that's one of the things that kind of drew me in, but it was a good career. I mean, I got to say, I enjoyed Geico. Just fast forward, we can dive more into that in detail, but what Geico did was they came out with a thing my last year there where it was called an A call. So what they did is, hey, whether you sell the call or not, we want to make sure this client is this lead is delighted, that we want to make sure they were thrilled with Geico, with everything we've got to say, that they were trying to get their retention fixed. Well, the problem I had was the team, they called the A call team, that decided whether your call was an A call or not, were the bottom sellers. So I would sell a call and they would say, hey, you're not going to earn commission on this call because even though you sold it, we didn't think you delighted the client enough.
What?
Yeah. So
that's an awesome idea that I will implement immediately. Kyle, I fully expect you to delight every client, and I will have a delight index that we will be rolling out next week.
I cannot wait for that.
Well, so you can imagine my personality being a young, early 20-something-year-old with a big ego and a lot of ambition. I pretty much let them have it, and I left the meeting with nothing solved and very upset. So then what I started doing is I started getting on the phone and saying at the end of the call, did I delight you? And they got super upset with that because they were like, look, you can't let them know that because then they know. And I'm like, well, how are you going to know? It's very subjective and y'all are affecting my commission. So it became like a big problem. And then at that time, I was selling over 200 policies. Well, I can hear this in the smoky room where everybody's sitting around just banging heaters, talking about this. Hey, this is this KilGO kid. He's the one who walked in and told us we needed to hire him right away. And then he told Buffett to screw off on the third meeting. So, not exactly like that, but yeah. I mean, it just got down to a point where they were blocking my commission. And then they were capping me. So they'd never in their wildest dreams thought somebody would sell over 250 policies a month. And what they started doing is saying, hey, we don't have a scale for over that. So the commission stops there. We're not going to give you sky's the limit. So I was like, okay, maybe it's time to go somewhere else. So I had a friend of mine that was in mortgages, and he actually was my trainer at Geico my first year, and then he left to do mortgage. So I reached out to him. I said, hey man, how's this mortgage thing? He said, look, it's good. I had a good friend from California that was also with Geico. He said, you're an idiot if you don't go over to mortgages. You'll kill it. So I walked into the mortgage. I went to the Bank of America back in 2006. And I basically told him,
I was doing the math in my head, man. This
horrible timing.
This does not end well.
Yeah, so I did it. I listened to your last podcast with Lovell, and I actually just friended him because we have a lot in common. There's a lot to talk about, but the difference is he stuck with it, and I said I'm out. And I think primarily because he chose a better company than I did. Bank of America just still today it's tough to do business with mortgage wise.
It's tough to do business with them, period. I quit banking with them because they took all of the humans out of our branch. Like, right. I don't feel, I felt like I was in Total Recall or something when I walked into the branch and I'm dealing with virtual tellers and everything else. I'm out. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. So did mortgages for a little bit. I just basically said the same thing. I was like, look, you need to hire me. And he's like, well, you don't have any experience. I was like, look, I'm the real deal. I will make it work. And I just beat the streets. I out hustled everybody. I gained a huge real estate agent market share. I was slaying about 10, 15 loans a month, did really well. But then market dropped 2008, 2009. Bank of America disbanded my team. I had some juniors that were under me. They took away my assistant. They took away my processor, and they wouldn't give me refi business from the branches. So I was like, well, I either go to Wells Fargo, SunTrust, or I do something different. I was like, hey, I was good at insurance. I'm going back into insurance. I'll run my company. I could do it better than Geico. But then what I did was through my Allstate and then setting up my own independent now, which I wish I would have did the independent right away. I've learned how to really perfect how we want to do our sales calls to capture the business on one or two phone calls and then move on to the next and still build that personal relationship and keep it going throughout that client's experience with us.
So the question becomes, do you ask everyone if they're delighted at the end of a call?
I do not. I stay away from that. We have nothing of the sort. We do a lot of role play. We do a lot of meetings. I'm always in communication with my sales staff to kind of know what's going on. We do a lot of we get a lot of Google reviews and really trying to get feedback from our clients. I just filled out a survey or something I'm trying to do to kind of just send out to the books to kind of gauge the temperature. But we do really well. I mean, a lot of our business is client referral, so I don't even have to ask. Are you delighted? I know. I've got my hand on the button.
That's good. I mean, you made the comment you wish you would have done it first. I'd probably argue with you. You needed the Geico, not even for the insurance experience, but the fact that you needed to get irritated with Geico so that you were that much more driven to be successful when you did your own thing.
Yeah, everything's been a great stepping stone. I could not be micromanaged like they're doing. I mean, they would time you on your bathroom breaks.
Dude. It's funny. I had a guy did that to me. I was in the grocery industry, and it was before I'd gotten promoted. I was actually just a stalker, still under the impression I'd be the next Kurt Warner that would rehabilitate and go into professional sports after stocking groceries for a living. And I will never forget this. I had gone into the bathroom to take a leak, and I came out, and as I'm coming out, the guy that's the stock crew manager is coming back to find me. He's like, you don't go to the bathroom unless I say you go to the bathroom. I'm thinking, dude, I'm a grown freaking adult. Are you kidding me? and he said, we have productivity numbers we have to meet. I was like, then you need to go requisition a box of Depends off the shelf, and I will literally pee my pants while I stock all night. I don't care. But if you're gonna monitor me, then you're gonna have to give me a way to not have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
what is that?
When it started getting a little weird, and I started saying, okay, maybe this isn't a good career path. Staying with them was when it was a hot day. It was like 100 degrees, well over 100 degrees. That's unusual for Virginia. And the supervisor, this is me selling over 200 policies. I mean, this is toward the end of the month. I probably got about 220 policies on the board. She's like, hey, do y'all want milkshakes? I was like, sure. She's like, well, I've got something I've got to do. Would you mind going to get them? So I was like, sure, I'll go get the milkshakes, which is right down the street. I mean, this is not crazy. Went and got the milkshakes, came back. She said, hey, you were gone 20 minutes. You were supposed to be back, and you can't be off the phones that long. You were supposed to be back in like 10 minutes. I'm like, that's impossible. It took me 10 minutes to get out of the building. This is a 4-story building, over 1,000 employees work in this building, probably 3,000 to 4,000, and that just to get out of the building is 10. So that's when I started saying, okay, this is a little much. This is not how I can live life, and mortgages really gave me the flexibility, gave me the entrepreneurship. It was commission only. It's, sink or swim kind of deal. That's where I really kind of got the drive, the hustle, kind of learning how to build those personal relationships, and then getting it back over to insurance and running a business. You're right. It really kind of helped mesh the two together to kind of come up with what we have now.
So talk a little bit about what you guys are doing now. I mean, I know you're doing good things up there. I follow you. I know you promote the living daylights out of homes for sale and all of that. So talk about how that sort of fits into your strategy.
Yeah, so we focus on loan officers and real estate agents, anything with a property transaction for insurance. We want our name to be mentioned. So I just had a huge meeting with my team yesterday, and we're all about massive action. I think, one of the problems with a lot of these groups and pages and things that agents that they want to know, hey, what can I do this or what can I do that? And it's always something new that's kind of making them go, okay, I need to do this or I need to do that. And you got to have more than one approach. And I'm just like, hey, you know what? I'm going deep dive. We're really good at working with mortgage loan officers. I've got experience in that. I know what they're thinking. I know how their daily activities go. We can help as insurance eliminate some of those problems and solve these solutions, help the client save more money, which is going to make them look like a hero. We just need to take massive action and reach out to them. So I have a goal of trying to get a consistent, 200 referral partners that are giving us, referrals daily. Getting those referrals coming in monthly. And I know at our close percentage of 80 some percent, I know that's a win-win for us. So yeah, I mean, right now, we're just we promote the heck out of work quicker than anyone about getting you a quote. So you call us and you can expect the best rate, the lowest rate, with a good policy, with good policy coverages, in less than 5 minutes. We're going to be able to get that over to you before anybody else. So we get you satisfied, and then we're going to take care of your client better than anybody else. And then on the back end, we're doing more stuff with that client to try to get referrals and do things to give back to you. And so we're just about massive action right now, man. I mean, it is not a secret. It is just hard work.
A couple things. The first one is, I think that it's interesting that you said you're just going to go deep because, obviously we have Killing Commercial. It's the same process that I've been using for 15 years. There is while it may be a new and shiny object to other people that are out there that don't really understand going after middle market or how you research prospects or define them or any of this stuff, it's nothing new, man. It's not a shiny object. But your point is dead on the money. Look at it when you go to any of these, and I don't go to a lot of industry trade shows or events or any of that. There's really, for me, I like going to Innovation because I have a lot of friends that are there. You get to meet people. You and I met for the first time at Innovation this year, and you build relationships with people that you otherwise wouldn't build. I'm not there to buy anything. And I know the vendors don't want to hear that, but at the end of the day, I go to connect with people and to do whatever I can to maybe take one thing from the conference to make my game better. But you go out there and there's just so many shiny objects, and you'll always see people. Like, I'll see people with pamphlets from everybody, and I'm thinking, you are going to execute on nothing because you have so many different things. And I think that a lot of times when I talk to people about going through the Killing Commercial curriculum, they think it's a magic wand. It's not. Like, I don't have a magic wand that is going to say, no, you'll never have to work again. You can just sit back and all of this stuff's going to come to you. Because you know this as well as I do. I'm huge on having channel partners. I recruit from channel partners, right? Kyle and I met because Kyle was a rep for a company that I had a contract with. And I realized early on, I liked the guy. His sarcasm meter was equal to mine, and we would probably get along really well. And he's done well for himself. But, I just, it blows my mind how many people think that you just build a business overnight. You can't, it's every single day of not hitting that snooze button to make sure you get up to go to a coffee meeting, or not having lunch by yourself, or going to a networking event in the evenings, or whatever else. And there's a certain amount of sacrifice that has to take place. But I'm 100% with you, man. Like, I've said it my entire career. I don't want to make 10 phone calls to get one appointment. I want to make one phone call and get 10 appointments. You flip it on your head. And I think that by having channel partners and referral relationships that are rock solid in place is the best way to do that. The other thing I would tell you, listening to what you said, is our business models are like apples and Volvos, bro. We are so different in terms, and it doesn't mean that one's right and one's wrong, but your business model of, I mean, you guys are just churning volume, and you're meeting people's demand for, instant society. We want everything now. We want the best deal, the best value overall. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that whatsoever, because the product, the need that you're meeting, which is what you said you wanted to do, dictates that's what you have to do. I think that it is much more difficult. I think that the personal lines end of things is commoditized, and you have done a very good job of giving them a commoditized experience without it being a commoditized experience, if that makes sense. Because if you're telling somebody, I'm going to turn quotes in 5 minutes or less, you're setting an expectation that does not scream value-based sale, because a value-based sale, what I look at is sometimes takes me a year to get done. You know what I mean? And so I think that it's interesting that you can take agencies from such different, I wouldn't say our philosophies are different. I just think the actual mechanics of how you run them are completely different depending on your audience.
Yeah, I mean, I just took my past experiences and said, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is what I know I don't want to do. Who do I want to be with this new business? And I think every business has their own pursuit of purpose, has their own commitments that they need to live by. With Geico, I knew I didn't want to be micromanaging. Geico cannot do what we do right now. They can't. No loan officer is going to say, hey, call Geico and expect the best for their client. They just know that's not going to happen. The referrals don't happen that way. There's no relationship there. There's nothing personal about it. It's a transaction. I feel like I didn't want to be a transaction. I wanted to be, one of our core values is touch hearts. I need to make sure on every call that we touch the heart of that referral partner, and everybody along the process, everyone along that journey. So the client, the title company, whoever's involved, the real estate agents from the buyer to the listing side, everyone, I need to touch hearts. And that's from there, more referrals, a better client, quality client coming in that's going to want to give referrals, better experience, better Google reviews. And all that means something to get you into the conversation of people talking about, okay, who's the best insurance companies? I love it. I eat and breathe. When I see on Facebook, someone says, hey, can someone help me? I need to shop this insurance. And I'll get 5-10 people that say, call KilGO. I didn't do that. They did that. And that means more to me than me having to chase the business and say, oh, please call me. Let me help you. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen so many agencies do that. When I see it, I will not respond. I say, thank you. I give them my link, but I let somebody else do the marketing for us. And that means more to me than anything else. And that's what I work hard for. So I knew I didn't want to be Geico, but there were some things I took from Geico. Like, I worked on the sales call script. I mean, Geico, every 15 minutes, you're on a call. A call with Geico is never going to go longer than 15 minutes. Sorry, I don't know if this is live, but this is working from home. So we're in the quarantine. This is Troy, otherwise known as Troby, Spider-Man. He's my 3-year-old.
What's up, Spider-Man?
Yeah, you say hi. Yeah. So he
he's out.
He's my buddy, man. He's my buddy. He wants to know exactly what I'm doing. He thinks it's playtime every day. So he's like, hey, I'm home.
Kind of is right now.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not in school. I'm only 3. Hey, let's play or let's go ride bikes. And I'm like, hey, man, I got to get this done. So I feel sorry for the kid kind of because, my daughter, we're constantly getting her educated. My wife is a nurse. I'm in here doing this. And my son's just like hanging out, watching Frozen 2 and all these other, Trolls or whatever new movies out 24/7 until 5 o'clock when I can get out of here and spend an hour or two with him riding his bike. So it's kind of a crazy situation that we all have our challenges right now.
How often do you normally work from home?
So we're already remote before all this even happened.
Oh, really? So this is normal for you?
This is normal, business as usual, except for we usually have daycare, and we pulled them out of daycare when all this happened because we just we wanted to be safe, and we were like, hey, why spend the money for daycare if we're both going to be home 24/7? Because I am on the streets 24/7 with a laptop talking and meeting with loan officers. So real estate agents, loan officers, I mean, I probably have 5 meetings a day. So this is a little bit different where I'm now inside more and more in front of the computer, but now we're just kind of transitioning to Zoom calls and just reaching out. And really all I've done the past week and a half is just reach out to all my loan officers, ask them how they're doing. I'm not selling them anything. I'm not trying to, obviously I'm trying to, keep that awareness alive, keep that attention on us for insurance referrals. But I'm just want to talk to them about how they're doing, what we can do to help their situation, how we're going to help grow their business in this difficult time. So we've just been doing that.
What are some things that you look for when you're meeting with those loan officers in terms of partnering? What's ideal for you and for them, I guess, for that matter?
Yeah, it's just like insurance. We start off not talking about business, just kind of, we started off this call. We want to talk about things that they're interested in. So what I usually do is I do a little bit of research. I look up their Facebook page. I want to know, are they married, or, the kids, how many kids, what do they like? Are there any hobbies that they do? So I'm trying to learn a little bit about them so that when I'm talking to them, it's like a review, but I just want to hear about their experiences. And then I want to know their struggles. Where in the process could we fit in to solve any problems they have or any holdups? Usually it's a holdup. It's never a problem. It's usually like, okay, we could move faster here, or this can be done better, or, can you help me with an introduction to a real estate agent? How can you help my marketing? So we go in. I mean, my conversations, even if it's coffee, typically last longer than an hour with these loan officers. I mean, we're sitting back and we're having fun and we're having a good communication, and I'm learning about them, but also trying to formulate a game plan for them where I can help them get to get more deals, get better business model, get, whatever it takes to try to keep us on the same page where I know I can be an asset. Dave tuned out. He's heard this all before.
No, I agree with you, man.
I thought we lost him.
No, not at all. No, I'm here. I'm listening to everything Jason says. You can learn a lot from this guy. I mean, anybody that basically tells Buffett to pound sand, that's a guy that I need to surround myself.
Maybe I should have said it like that. I can't, really, I think it was because during that time, that's when they transitioned to the A-call. That's when they capped my pay. That's when so all these things started happening. And I decided, look, why am I going to go away for, 3 days, take a weekend of my time where I know I'm just going to work. Right. And I could make more money where I'm at because, the last two of these shareholder meetings I went to, these guys are millionaires that you're talking to. I mean, they're getting, I can't remember what it is, stock A, stock B, or whatever it is. I mean, I think stock A now is like something like 50,000 a share or whatever it is. It's crazy. And even stock B at that time, this was 15 years ago, 20 years ago, stock B was 2,500 at that time. So, I mean, these are people that are wealthy, and it was hard to sell them auto insurance. Like I would say, I'd be like, hey, look, I'm saving you $100 here, $500 there. And they still wouldn't commit to it. And you only have that day. You're not going to follow up with them. It's not going to happen. So I knew I could sell more policies at home than I could with them, at that meeting. So I think it was a bunch of things involved. It wasn't like, okay, I'm just not going to go meet Warren Buffett. It was a lot of things that Geico was doing in their model that I didn't exactly agree with. And I think that's what, that was the final say. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go do something else.
I think ultimately that's no different than why I left the grocery industry. I was killing it, man. I mean, our base salary wasn't that good, but we got sales incentive with another kicker of if you exceeded your budget in sales, same thing with the profit side. And we had a new CEO come into the company, and he did a Trail of Tears tour with all of the other agency owners that are out there and listened to them gripe about how much they made. Basically, it was all the people that weren't producing, right? So they made the decision they were going to crush the bonus structure the way that it was, raise everybody's base salary about $30,000 to $35,000 a year, and then take away the bonus structure as we knew it. Well, guess what? Like almost $100,000 a year of my income was bonus. You basically just told me to take a $70-some thousand a year pay cut to come to work. Like, I don't get it. And I'll never forget it. I called my district manager and I asked him, I was like, listen, man, I said, I trust you. You've always been good to me. If you tell me that this is going to be okay, I'm not going to think negatively of it. But my question is, why should I come to work for half price? Why should I come to work for half of what I used to make tomorrow and continue to get you exceptional results? And he said, David, this is the beginning of the end, man. Get out while the getting's good. You have to go find something else. He said, because I don't see this getting any better, over time. If I'm in your shoes at that age, what Geico's telling me is, it's okay. We just want you to sell less. I mean, that's it. There's no reward for you to sell more because there's no incentive. I mean, that just absolutely blows my mind that actually came out of somebody's mouth.
Well, like I said, I had a big ego then. And what I told him was, I was like, hey, look, so the last week of the month, I'm just going to take off because that week I'm working for free.
Yeah, why not?
And they didn't like that. They wanted me to work and get a small base just to finish out the month. And I'm just like, look, I should just have off because I've already hit the quota.
Listen, you keep your base, you keep your shakes, and you tell Buffett number 3 ain't happening.
Well, I think, and what everything we just talked about there and what you just said, I think is huge for a lot of agencies out there. Culture of the agency is big. And, speaking of this whole quarantine mess and what's going on, we went remote long before this even was even, thought to come about. No one suspected it. And so we had a situation where our lease it kept going up. I mean, and these people really just wanted us out. I mean, it wasn't just going up your average 3-4%. It was going up like hundreds of dollars. And I was like, okay, I just, obviously they want us out. We can't stay here. Well, my top producer, who actually comes from the U-Crops bakery, not even related to insurance, never thought it would work out like this. She has an autistic son and he has appointments in the afternoon. And I was like, okay, why don't we just have you work for remote? Why don't you just work from home? During the day, you can take him to the appointments. You can pick him up from school, do whatever you've got to do. And as long as you just get the work done, then everything's perfect. All I'm asking you to do is sell policies every day. So it worked out beautifully. And then we just kind of all went that way. And so my team's all remote. So when all this hit, we're already on Zoom. We're already working remote, business as usual. And it's a great thing because I think the number one thing for culture of what people want out of a job is they want freedom. And I was able to provide that, and we all still talk. We all still see each other on Zooms. We all still have one-on-ones. We all still do meetings. Nothing has changed. It all is still there. I do a lot of Loom videos. So everything is good. And, it's business as usual, but we didn't have the panic that a lot of these other agency owners were going through of having to be remote. We were already set up that way. And I think that's the way we're going to continue. I'm just going to pick different parts of the state, different parts of the city. And I'm just going to hire people and plug them in. And that way we can cover more territory.
Yeah, I think that's smart, man. I mean, I agree with you wholeheartedly about people needing freedom. Kyle, I don't think we skipped much of a beat, having to, go remote, which tells me I'm throwing a bunch of money on rent away every month. But, we don't, in the nature of what we do, nobody comes to our office to do
That's
deals
right.
anyhow.
No,
nobody, never. I can tell you in 16 years, I can count on one hand the number of times a client has actually done a deal in a conference room of an agency where I work. And I can tell you of those, like 2 or 3 of them ended up being really bad deals. So I don't like, like our friends down the way, but the other thing I think people want though, is in addition to not just freedom in terms of, flexibility and stuff like that, but freedom in terms of thought process too. One of the things that I think that a lot of businesses get wrong is that they are so set in, they don't allow people to innovate. They don't allow people to come up with a better way. And, I believe that there are things that I do that are really, really good. I also know that just based on the fact I'm human, there are things that can be improved on.
Right.
I'm never going to be that person that's so stuck in my ways that I'm going to dig my heels in and argue that this is the only way to do it. Now, if you're a producer and you're not making your numbers and you tell me that my process sucks and I look at the process and see that you're not committed to it, that's not the time for you to be creative. That's the time for you to be following the process because that's what you're expected to do. But I can't even tell you the number of times I've been a part of organizations where I have really good ideas and they're just crapped on. Like Florida Risk exists because of that. I basically started my agency to do everything that was poo-pooed where I was before. And, you know, I was leaving the insurance industry. I was going to have nothing to do with insurance at all. And my wife's the one who roped me in and said, look, you've been complaining for years that you could do things differently and be really successful doing it. I got your back. Go do it. So I think it's the freedom of being able to, you know, it's nice to be able to work remote, have some flexibility in your day and all of that. But I think that we can't keep people captive to thought processes either. I think that we only get stronger with other people giving us ideas on the way that they perceive things. And I mean, that's not limited, in my opinion, at least in the commercial world. That's not just limited to your team. That's clients too. There's a lot of times clients give me things, you know, you should think about doing this. Great. If you think that, so does about half the other people I'm going to call on. So I think I'll go ahead and implement that immediately.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we're doing with the survey. I want to see what people, you know, really look at us, you know, where we can improve, how we can get better. Sometimes, you know, I've always have.
Is this an "Are you delighted" survey?
No, it is not. It is not. I'm totally against that. This is more of a, hey, I think we're good, but we could be better. You know, right. I want to kind of know where the measurement is for us. I mean, we have so many things that go out that kind of pre-fill 5 stars. Obviously, their comments are genuine, and I appreciate that. Obviously, we're getting a lot of referrals from social media, but I want to see what their real thoughts are, so I can get this survey, and the ones that fill it out have something to, you know, that feedback is critical to what, you know, how we gauge how we're performing, what we can do better. Maybe they, like you said, what if they give us some ideas on some things that I haven't thought about that can really change the way, the dynamic of how we do business. So I think that's important to do. Another thing I was going to say though is, you know, everybody right now, video is so important. Right? Everybody's doing video in one aspect or another, whether it's education and training for your staff, whether it's doing policy reviews. My account manager, who's well into her 50s, she's always talking about retirement. I told her she's never retiring. She, you know, this kind of technology, I think she was a little taken back by it. You know, she's like, okay, I'm a little nervous to show my face. I'm a little nervous to do this and that. She just did a policy review on a Zoom call, shared everything with the client, and fantastic results. Upsells, cross sells, you know, all these things happened off the Zoom call that I think people are just not taking advantage of. You know, we need to be able to make sure. I mean, we're not hiding anything. The rate's going to be the rate. The discounts are the discounts. But it's the way we perceive the value, how we treat the client, the personal touches we can do for it. Name me another insurance agent that's sharing their screens on a Zoom call and going through a policy review. There's not many, if any at all, in Virginia. So, or in the nation. So I think it just, you know, we also are starting to do things with loan officers, you know, happy hours, you know, sending them lunches. Hey, you know, if we can get their home address, we can do a DoorDash, send them a lunch for the time of our Zoom call. And while we're talking, would it be cool for the doorbell to ring and their food arrive? They didn't even expect it. So things like that we're doing to really just get involved and really just have a better experience with us, touch their heart, get them to see, hey, these guys are for real. These guys are different.
People, you cannot underestimate the value of making somebody feel like the most important person to your organization at that time. It doesn't matter if it's a client. It doesn't matter if it's a prospect. It doesn't matter if it's a team member. People like to be valued. And, you know, I get a lot of flack. People tell me I'm extra because I go above and beyond to try and make people feel like we value them, because we sincerely do. You're going to experience this, brother, because you're going to get a gift box from us with some really cool stuff in it.
Oh, cool. Sweet.
And, you know, at the end of the day, when somebody comes on the podcast or somebody's our client or somebody joins Killing Commercial, we have a customized package that goes out to those people from us that is above and beyond what they would ever get from anywhere else. And it's funny because we have one of the things we include is a Tervis tumbler. Tervis is a company that's local to us. And we put blue and gold gummy bears in a tumbler for Florida Risk, along with a couple other things that go into a client welcome kit. Kyle actually has clients that are asking for gummy bear refills because
dude, they're pissed, man. They are not playing around. They want their gummies.
It's crazy, but I want somebody to open that, and I want that box to make their day. It doesn't matter who they are. I want them to be like, wow, somebody really put thought into doing this for me. And listen, we're in agency forums where agency owners are talking about different things. And I love to watch the dichotomy of people who believe in creating an awesome client experience versus people who say, I'm good. I've done it this way for 30 or 40 years, and it's worked for me. I don't have to do any more than what I'm already doing. And I just sit back and watch as the two sides argue, realizing to myself, I could throw my 2 cents in here, but nobody's changing the other one's opinion in this whole thing. I think your head's in the right place, brother. I think you're doing the right thing. I think it sounds like you're doing the right stuff by your team, by your clients. I can tell you, I feel like I'm a better guy for getting to know you. And
Likewise.
I appreciate what you've shared with us today. The one thing I do want to do is give you a chance to let everybody know how they can find you. I know that we have loan officers and real estate people that are going to be listening from your area, probably already doing business with you. But if they're not, this is your chance to let them know, brother.
Yeah. So Jason Kilgo, I'm not hard to find. KilGoInsurance.com. You can also email us at goinsure@KilGoInsurance.com. Office line, we take calls, text 804-403-7400. But I am not hard to find. I am everywhere. So you can Google me.
If you are in Virginia or anywhere close, this is a guy you need to know. He will definitely make you better. He'll help you sharpen the saw. Jason, thank you so much for your time with us today. Had a blast chatting with you. Would love to have you back at some point and hear how you've grown and all of the investments you're making now have paid off for you.
Yeah, I will be down in Tampa next innovation. I told you I'm gonna swing by. I want to try some of those succulent meats that you put on the grill and smoker. And I can't thank you enough. This has been a really good time. Just had a blast. Always have a blast talking to you, David. You're always a fun guy to talk to. Kyle's nice meeting you. But yeah,
Likewise.
I appreciate it. Thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely, man. We'll talk soon.
All right. Bye.
See you.
You've been listening to the Power Producers Podcast. You can follow Killing Commercial Insurance on Facebook and YouTube. And if you want to take your game to the next level, check out our book, The Extra 2 Minutes, and our website, KillingCommercial.com.